What is up, guys? My name's iirix, and today I'm going to be showing you an updated version of my Athreos God of Passage EDH deck. One of my very first videos to this channel was this deck back in 2014, I believe, and it was good, but obviously over time, when they release new cards, you make changes, and I really enjoyed this deck the most, and I began foiling it out. So I'm here today to show you the updated version, and while I'm looking at it, I'm noticing something on a sleeve here. Okay, just thought I had a split sleeve there. I hate those, and these are Ultra Pros, so it's not like it's unheard of. But anyway, looking at it, it's a recursion-based deck, and mostly, I guess you could say, white-black good stuff. Taking a look at it, Athreos is obviously the general and the backbone. One white-black, you get a 5/4 indestructible as long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7. Athreos isn't a creature. Whenever another creature you own dies, return it to your hand unless target opponent pays 3 life. I really like the fact that it says creature you own. That has been relevant in a game or two of mine. And so, yeah, that's kind of the main thing of the deck. And then there's, you know, it's mostly recursion, but there's also it's very easy to say it's just white-black good stuff. So I'm going to go through the deck and show you the updated version for anybody who's seen the old one or hasn't seen the old one and you want to check it out. It is also up on the channel. So there's the updated version. And I'm going to kind of do a little bit more than I did in the last video, where I'm going to go through and I'm going to do test plays and yeah, or test draws. I don't have anybody to play with here, so yeah, just test draws. So looking at it, we got Weathered Wayfarer. Really nice going for land. You know, it's hard to argue with that. And he goes for any land, not just basics. Linvala locks out opponents' abilities. You know, well, yeah, activated abilities anyway. Restoration Angel. Karmic Guide brings things from the grave. Arcana Justice, Spot Removal, Baneslayers, Baneslayer. Sunblast Angel, or kind of Wrath. Yosei, it's just kind of a good dragon. Sun Titan brings stuff back from the grave. Angel Serenity can do that and also pick stuff off the field temporarily. Elish Norn is a great power toughness swinging creature. Makes yours bigger by 2, and it makes the opponent's smaller by 2. So 4-point swing there. You got a Chroma. Avacyn is always nice. Rhea, Dawnbringer, brings things back from grave. Iona, I always feel bad when I play Iona against monocolored decks, but it's what it is, right? Swords of Plowshares, Path to Exile, Condemn. For people who don't know, Condemn is kind of like Swords and Path. It exiles, but only attacking or blocking creatures, I believe. I know it's attacking, blocking, I'm pretty sure it does that one too. But yeah, it never comes up. I always do it to attacking creatures. Marshal's Anthem is an anthem, but it also brings stuff back from the grave. Got Wrath of God, it's a wrath. That's where the term wrath comes from. Day of Judgment, same deal, except Wrath of God, they can't be regenerated. Day of Judgment, they can. Hollow Burial's a wrath, puts them on the bottom of the deck. Elspeth makes tokens. Elspeth makes tokens. Got the basic lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 planes. Slide that out of the way. I'm just going to kind of pick this up. There we go. Phyrexian Obliterator. Not a card I'm looking forward to hunting down in foil. It's kind of expensive in the regular version. I think it's 25, 30 bucks. Foil's like 60, 50, something like that. I don't know. I haven't seen one, though, is the problem. I can't find them very easily. Nezumi Grave Robber is more recursion. It's really nice. Whip of Erebos is recursion. And, you know, creatures have lifelink. Bloodgift Demon is card draw. I really like that. And I will totally lose the 1 life. I'm fine with that. Kokosho, just kind of a big dragon that drains for 5 when he dies. And in recursion, not something you can, you know, not something you can't easily break. We got a Grave Titan, makes tokens. Butcher of Malakirs, Grave Pact on a creature. Shieldred, you bring stuff back, make them lose more stuff. Avatar of Woe, tap, kill. Demonic Tutor is a tutor. We all know Demonic Tutor. Hero's Downfall is just spot removal. I usually save it for Planeswalkers. Phyrexian Arena, I just got this one a couple days ago, so pretty happy I picked up a foil of that. It's card draw. Deadlock Tutor is a tutor. Damnation is another Wrath effect. Demonic Collusion is more tutor, but the buyback is really nice. I try to buy back whenever I can. Buyback goes back in your hand. Grave Betrayal is more recursion style, but it also works, whenever a creature you don't control dies. So it's mostly the opponents, but, it's not unheard of for them to have your stuff in some way or another. But, yeah, Black Sun Zenith. Liliana Vess, it's mostly tutoring. Soren Markov is funny to just play in -3. People hate it. They just go to 10. Swamps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 swamps. Got a Shizo, gives a legendary creature fear. Oh, geez. I wonder how many legends I have. This is going to be tough to choose. Urborg, every land is a swamp, so it makes all my planes dual lands. On to the multicolor creatures, we've got Divinity of Pride. Super easy to play. I don't have a lot of lands in here that provide only colorless. And then it's mostly just a good stuff deck. Or card, because early in the game, if you get it down, it's just like Sarah Ascendant, you'll have more than 25 life. So it's 5 mana for an 8/8 flying lifelink. Deathbringer Liege is another great card. It kind of powers up the team, but his main focus is playing white spells to tap things, playing black spells, then also destroys tap things. So that's kind of where I think you get his most value. The power-up is just kind of whatever. Blood Baron of his Kappa. Another one, it requires a little bit more than Divinity of Pride or Sarah Ascendant. It requires more effort in the fact that you have to have 30 or more life, and the opponent has to have 10 or less. But at that point, it's kind of win more, but that's okay because 5 for 4/4 lifelink pro white-black, I'm not arguing anyway. Angel Despair is nice spot removal. I'd make a spot removal for creatures. Got a Vindicate, which I'm mixed from when they reprinted it. I can finally get a foil, and it's not going to cost me 60, 70, 80 bucks, however much they were, but that means that the one I got here way back when it was like 40 for the regular is now not worth anywhere near 40, but that's the game, right? Got a Mortify. Anguished Unmaking, I need to get the game day version, and speaking of which, Utter End game day version. That one is a very nice looking game day promo. The Other End looks pretty nice too. I like it. But they are both spot removal. Pyrrhic Revival is kind of a mass recursion. I don't like getting the -1/-1. I don't like giving the opponent their creatures back too, but whatever. Mass revival comes at its cost, right? Debtor's Knell is more revival for me. Then we got the dual lands, got Scared Barons, Temple of Silence, Caves of Koilos, Shambling Vent, Tainted Field, Godless Shrine. I'm working on getting the Expedition of Godless Shrine. I got Scrubland, and for anybody who wants to raise an argument over real Scrubland, or if I'm just faking it, I do have 4 Scrublands, hard copies, and so yeah, I think this is okay. Marsh Flats, Isolated Chapel, Orzhov Guildgate, Forsaken Sanctuary, Fetid Heath, Orzhov Basilica. Onto our artifacts, got a Hex Parasite. I love this guy for Planeswalkers. It's so awesome because let's say turn 1 or 2 you play him, and he's so cheap. Turn 3, you pay the 2 life, and then you remove 3 counters. Any Planeswalker that's been played on turn 3 is not going to have more than 3, and if it does, it's going to cripple it quite severely. So Hex Parasite is great for taking out Planeswalkers early, late, whenever. I got a Wormcoil Engine, Sensei's Divining Top, Nim Deathmantle, more recursion, Crystal Ball, Scrying is great, Batterskull, mostly just because I have a foil, so it's kind of just in there. Ugin, which is going to be a pain in the ass to find a foil that, isn't stupid expensive. I got Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Vault of the Archangel, Orzhova the Church of Deals, High Market, and Mirren the Moaning Well. So, that's the deck in its current state, and yeah, I'm going to start to shuffle up. I'm not going to show all the shuffling up, because it's kind of like, who wants to watch shuffling? Right? Yeah, so I'm going to shuffle it up and we will take a look at some test draws and see what it can do. I'll solitaire it, as I like to say. Alright, so I'm back. Dex is shuffled up. I'm just going to keep going a little bit more, but I figured while I'm doing that, I will show you a list, it's kind of like a spreadsheet of some, we'll say, deck stats. I drew up, I just figured, to summarize, showing off the deck, looking at it, there are 30 creatures, 8 instants, 10 sorceries, 5 enchantments, 5 planeswalkers, 6 artifacts, and 38 lands. Frequently I am asked how many lands is a good number for EDH. I tell people aim for 39, and then for every 2 cards that you have in the deck that could provide mana or go and pull land out of the deck, you can reduce that by 1. And so some agree with me, some don't, and that's fine. You build your deck how you want. But typically, I don't have a whole lot of issues with land. I'm not going to pretend like I never do, because it happens. But for the most part, I don't. Color symbols in costs of each of the cards. White, there are 73. Black, there are 64. So it's a little bit heavier on the white side, but that's okay. And then you kind of look at it. Colors provided by various sources. Primarily land. White 21, black 22. Kind of makes you laugh when you think about that, but that's what it is. Checking out the converted mana cost of things. 6/1 cost, so early on 3/2 cost, 8/3 cost. So I'll play some things early on, but my most of my cards are at cost 4 and 5, which is understandable. That's when the game starts picking up. 6 costs, I have 9 of those. 7, 7, 8, 4, and 9 plus, which will be 9 cost or X's. Those are 3. Down here in the bottom left, various things that some people, pay attention to. It's not super important, I think, but, there it is. 5 tutors, 4 card draw, and card draw I also consider Sensei's Divining Top and Crystal Ball because they kind of manipulate your draw. I kind of consider that in there. Spot removal 13, global destruction is 7. Most of my decks will kind of have something around this, 5 to 8 global destruction cards. I usually shoot for 15. 20 is rather high in spot removal, but it's not something I avoid. So it's a little light on spot removal for my usual numbers. The utility creatures, it is a recursion-based deck, so the cards on theme, there are 12. Just straight power creatures, I have 4. Protection from various things, 4. Anthem effects, 3. I make tokens with 4 different cards, and I play around with the life with 5 different cards. Combos, I don't even know why I put a combo section on here, because I don't do infinite combos in my EDH decks, because that's kind of a rule that my friends and I came up with. Don't go infinite, because if you play, say, with 3 other people, it's a 4-player game. If you play for 45 minutes, an hour, something like that, and then your friend just all of a sudden goes, well, infinite, I win, counterspell, then, it comes to an abrupt end, and nobody's really satisfied with that, except for the guy who comboed out, and that's not fun. So, my friends and I, we all agreed that we will not go infinite ever. And we feel it makes it more fun. If some people want to do that, great. If others don't, whatever. We don't play super competitive, even though I'm saying that after you've looked at this deck, but, whatever. So, test draw, not looking good so far, looking terrible. That's horrible. So, we'll just go ahead and get a whole new hand of 7. That looks a hell of a lot better. I would totally keep this. And then I'm going to lazy shuffle because it's not a real game. So just shuffle the top half of the deck with those cards. And yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, let's get the rest of the deck in there. Just real quick. I don't know what this is, but you can go right there. All right. So, looking at this, you're obviously not going to be doing anything early on, but that's not a terrible thing. I'm thinking getting Shizo in a swamp with a dual land in there, high market. Evolving Wilds will go and get a Plains. So I would lead with that. Hey, look at Plains. And then for laziness, just kind of, bam, there we go. All right, turn 2, we get Marin, Moaning Well. All right, not bad, I guess. Something playable would be nice, but like I said, you know, at this point, I'd only have 9 cards I can cast that cost 2 or 1. Day of Judgment, not bad. It's always nice to have some removal in your back pocket. Here I'd play Athreos. And I got a lot of lands, but that's okay. Karmic Guide, okay. Start to get some creatures. Unfortunately, you do not want to play Karmic Guide early in the game. So it's kind of a bum draw. But the good thing about my deck, one of the reasons I kind of built it the way I did, being heavy on the recursion theme, is I can use Karmic Guide now and try to get some early damage in. And if it dies, no big deal, because I bring him back from the grave pretty easily. And Athreos is in play, so they'd have to pay 3 life in order for me to not get it back. But I'll get it back one way or another, you know. So it's not a terrible idea to play it early on. It just kind of feels like a little bit of a waste. But we go high market and pass turn. We got Unmake. That's not bad. So probably let's continue with the colors. Unmake whatever they happen to have played by now. I'm sure they'd have something. Draw. Let's go ahead. Well, I was going to say let's assume Athreos has been removed from play, but Athreos does not ever really get removed from play. It's indestructible, so it kind of hangs out for a while. Looking at this, I think we'd go Swamp and play Liliana, leaving high market available to sacrifice, but, well, I don't have any creatures. Typically, you'd leave high market open, and if you have anything in hand that costs 1, Scrubland would be an excellent choice, but for 5 mana, Liliana Vest, and I would -2 immediately to go through the deck, take a card, shuffle your library, and put that card on top. Going through here, I would want to say that my first choice would probably be something that can help manipulate the deck or draw extra cards. So right now, I'm feeling Sensei's Divining Top, because this stage of the game, for us, it's turn 6, and we have not done a lot yet, and that is not good. So go ahead, take the top, shuffle the deck. And then the top will be placed on top. Ha 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 ha. Top joke. Okay. Go to the next turn. We would untap, draw our top. High market will put the top down. We get a land, so there's Marin. And we would play Shieldred with their 7 mana, but that is good to keep them down on creatures, and it's not super important to us, I feel, at the moment, to try to keep them down on creatures. Now, if they're playing super aggressive, sure, but the way things are, you know, in this, I more often than not feel like people aren't going to be super aggressive. So +1 Liliana, make them discard a card, and for the sake of it, we'll top now. So let's see, because we can draw and play any one of these 3 with the top. So I'm kind of feeling put Blood Gift on top. Activate the top to draw a card. Maybe be less messy with my draws. There we go. Draw a card. Top goes back on top. And then I would do 5 to play Bloodgift Demon. Our devotion is 6, so not a creature at the moment, but that's okay. So next turn, let's say Liliana has been killed. Bloodgift Demon, I would target myself, 2 cards, lose 1 life. I would immediately play the top again, and then from there, I think what I would want to do is drop Baneslayer. Leave Marin open, so I can... Oh, well, that costs 3, so I guess I'd want to leave high market. So Marin for top, and then here's 5 mana to go ahead and play Baneslayer Angel. Our devotion is 6 again, which is a little unfortunate, but You know, that's how it goes. So leave it at that. If they would try to kill either one of these, you can use high market to gain a life and kind of go, haha, fuck you. But in most cases, you will just simply top. And so looking at this, Demonic Collusion is a fine card, but you don't really want to throw any of these away. So I'm feeling like we got the Whip and Grave Titan as our next draws. Then we would want to, you'd want to top at the end of their turn, swing on your turn. I forgot to mention that. If it's safe, you don't want to risk your Blood Gift Demon. So your draw, Blood Gift Demons is the second draw. And looking at this, I think now would be the time. Let's go ahead and assume that they raft, because, you know, 2 5/4s and a 5/5 with all those abilities on them can get rather intimidating, and that's okay. You know, that's why the deck is built the way it is. People wrath, you know, it's not concerning to me. I would think now double black and 5 would be the time to play Shieldred. We get that pressure going, it continues, and now that we have something in the grave to bring back, it's actually somewhat relevant. Go to their turn. We can't top, unfortunately, but go to their turn. They will have to sacrifice a creature. Let's just say as Shieldred survives the turn, you get a draw. Demonic. Okay, so my camera ran out of room, so that one got cut a little short, but there wasn't much else going on in there. You use Shieldred, you know, and then Demonic Collusion was the next card. We know that, right? You know, so not a whole lot left going on in there. So let's do one more. A couple things on that first one. Generally, you don't want a hand like that. 6 lands and a high cost creature is kind of gross, to say the least. But it's hard for me to keep a hand that has all that land, because it's like anything you draw, well, not so much in EDH, but just about anything you draw, you can play, you know, and so it also beats the first hand that we got. Anyway, this looks all right. I would not be upset about this. You got 2 things that cost 4, you got 2 things that cost 5, and Athreos over here that can be cast on turn 3. So we would start with Plains, draw, get a swamp down, draw, another swamp, play Athreos. I generally play Athreos as soon as possible, seeing as how he's indestructible. You know, I don't really see a reason not to. And in my play group, they don't really focus on exiling enchantments. The only time that it's a threat is when he's a creature and they just flat exile instead of destroy him. But that's not too often. We play Scoured Barrens, and let's say that I have to kill a Planeswalker. So, Hero's Downfall. Next turn, we can do Evolving Wilds for Plains, just to balance out the 2 colors there. I keep going to that and wanting to grab that, but I don't think I can grab that with Evolving Wilds. Because, yeah, this is a basic land. It doesn't say... Yeah, it's not like others where you go get a Plains or a Swamp. So, I mean, if you fetch with, I don't know, Flooded Strand, you could totally get Scrubland. Because it goes for a Plains or an Island. And then Scrubland is a Plains Swamp, you know, so... Same deal with Marsh Flats. Alright, so we get our 4th land. It comes into play tapped. So this turn, I would probably, if necessary, use Utter End. But at this point in the game, I don't think there's anything I really need to Utter End, unless they happen to drop another Planeswalker. But the odds of them playing 2 Planeswalkers, one right after another, aren't too high. So I think we would just pass. On this turn with 5 mana, I'd play Deathbringer. I would play Deathbringer. You got Blood Baron, you got Divinity of Pride. They're both white and black. I would want to play Deathbringer Liege first, because, well, I'm looking at it for his ability where you play a white spell, you tap something, and a black spell, you kill something tapped, and both of those can do that, both sides of that. But then I'm thinking, Divinity of Pride, 5 mana for an 8/8 lifelink flying creature, and it'll reach our Devotion, so I can start swinging with Athreos. So it's kind of a tough one. I actually think maybe the Divinity of Pride would be a better play this time. And then Athreos is a creature, so you can start swinging with him. Let's see. The next turn we draw. Forsaken Sanctuaries. All right. So we're definitely doing pretty good on our colors. We've got 4 sources of white, 4 sources of black, in 6 lands. So, you know, that's pretty nice. I would think that now we'd probably want a Deathbringer, especially since Divinity of Pride is now 10/10, which is stupid good, especially with lifelink, and Athreos is a 7/6. So I would go ahead and just swing with both for, you know, 10 and 7, gaining 10. It's ridiculously good. Draw Marsh Flats. Well, obviously play it. There's no reason not to play Marsh Flats. You play your Marsh Flats. At this point, unless the opponent continues to build up their board presence, I would say stop. If they continue to build up, I would play the Blood Baron, so that you can tap a creature. You'll trigger Deathbringer. You can tap a creature and then kill that creature. But if they're not, I think this would be a good time to just hold off. You're holding 2 instants, so I mean, if whatever they play on their next turn, you'll have the mana up to remove it, and you can swing again with a 10/10 flying lifelink and a 7/6. And this feels relatively safe. Looking at it, I feel like you don't want to put down too much, because if they have a board wipe, especially with this hand, if you play the Blood Baron and they wipe the board, you just lost all your creatures. So the only thing that you can do, let's say that happens. Let's say they do like Hallowed Burial or something and puts all the creatures on the bottom of the owner's deck. Put this back in the command zone. So they do that. So then they just pass their turn. So then on your turn, I would think you'd want to crack the Marsh Flat so you can shuffle the deck, get those 3 creatures off the bottom. Go through the deck. We'll take Scrubland or God the Shrine, whatever I see first. But I thought I saw the Scrubland sticking out there. There you are. Okay, so take the Scrubland. And now we shuffle the deck. So there are 3 creatures that went on the bottom, get shuffled. So there's a very low chance you could get one of them back. I think ideally you'd want the Divinity of Pride, because you're up by probably at least 50 life, maybe 60 life now. So, you know, that's something. And you can continue your life gaining shenanigans. So shuffle, cut. Okay, so at the end of their turn, you'd want to do that so you can shuffle the deck. Draw. Wormcoil Engine is an excellent draw. Drop that guy. They'd probably want to destroy him. We'll see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Wormcoil. Next turn, Grave Titan. Okay, see, this is just fine to recover from. Grave Titan, you know, you play that, get some zombie tokens down. Vault of the Archangel. Okay, so now I would replay Athreos at this point, because he costs 5, and so you still have mana up for Condemn. But let's say that your draws were not these 2 good creatures. Let's say that your draws were just land. So they're going to build their board presence. At this point, you could just Damnation and blow it all up, so you can kind of be like, you can kind of respond the way they did to your building up of the board, but that's not necessary. You don't have to do that if you would just hold off by playing the Blood Baron. They might still Wrath, but I feel like they'd be less inclined if there are 2 creatures that are threatening on the board. That being said, let's do one more quick one, because I enjoy doing this. This is fun for me to just sit here and do like the first 10 turns over and over again. I enjoy that. So okay, quick shuffle. All right, so there are 7 cards. Let's see what we got. Okay, path, plains, swamp, not bad. Nim, death mantle, swamp, plains. Okay, not super good, but it's not something. I don't think this is something to particularly be unhappy about either. It's got 5 lands in it, so you see Baneslayer right there. There's something. So 2 mana, we can play Nim, death mantle. Turn 3, damnation, very nice. In case they start to get away from us. Athreos. Turn 4, play the plains. You would not want to play damnation at this point. Hallowed Burial, 2 wraths in hand. So yeah, you would just sit here and not really do anything. Yeah, just pass the turn. Just get that land down. Turn 5, of course you draw a 2-drop now. Now that you are gonna play the Baneslayer, so you draw Baneslayer. Not really a reason not to, just a damn good card. Next turn, can't play Kokusho, so I would say Zumi Grave Robber, and whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, return that card to the battlefield and attach Nim Death Mantle to it. Costs 4 to equip, so we can't use it. Probably would want to do that instead of the Grave Robber. Well, actually, no, the Grave Robber. You activate the Grave Robber, say they have 3 cards, now they have 2. 1 step closer to getting rid of crap in their graveyard. Let's draw. It's got plains, nice. Good balance. We got 3 white and 3 black sources on our land. That's pretty good. Looking at this, you can play Kokusho, but again, I feel like this is almost at the point where you want to hold off. Let's say they just added a 3rd card to their grave. You could go 6, Nezumi Grave Robber 3 times, flip him into Night Eyes the Desecrator, and then you can start taking creatures and put them into play. And that's kind of the theme of the deck, so I like that idea. Also, you could do that at the end of their turn, so in case they kill something, you have Nim Death Mantle. You can activate whenever you'd want to. Then you obviously wouldn't be able to flip Nezumi Grave Robber, but let's just say that he doesn't kill anything. They don't do anything. You flip it in Night Eyes. You do your draw, Marsh Flats. Get the fetch down there. Okay. So 7 land, although 6 tap for mana. Depending on how the board looks, if they're continuing with their creatures and getting a bigger, more powerful board, if we don't have anything in the grave, if they happen to have something go, you can take it, but it doesn't feel like it'd be too likely at this point in the game. So I think we'd want to go to our 6 mana for Kokusho. Some people could say Kokusho. I say Kokusho. I really emphasize the O, the first O. Some people emphasize the U. I don't know. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying. But anyway, drop that. And this is when it gets really interesting. I really like Kokusho. If only we had a sack outlet, but no big deal. You could just suicide him. He'll either hit the opponent for 5 or he'll die, hopefully, and then drain them for 5. And that's just as good in my eyes. So at the moment, there's 6, 7. I believe that's how it works. I mean, it's on the front face of the card, so I believe that still counts. So Devotion is 7. I've actually never encountered that before, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So, you can swing with 3 5s. Well, you just played him. So 2 5s. Next turn, we get a plains, drop them. And we still have plenty of nice removal. 2 sorcery speed wraths, 1 to the bottom of the deck, 1 to the graveyard, and Path to Exile. So I think we're in pretty good shape here. Suicide, Kokusho, there's no way that they would block him and kill him with Night Eyes in play, because if they do, your response is simply, oh, he dies, I drain you for 5. Night Eyes at the end of your turn, or you could do 1 less mana and Nim Death Mantle him. So now he's a 7/7 zombie dragon spirit. There's just multiple ways to do it, and I really enjoy that. Taking a look at the top cards coming up, I mean, it's a land, whatever. Yosei, pretty nice. Not nearly as good as Kokusho, but Yosei's still pretty nice. Deathbringer Liege, I mean, we saw that in the last test. We got Mirren, land. Unmake is just spot removal. Sunblast Angel's another wrath I really like. Was Grave Betrayal, and then we got Divinity of Pride, which is stupid powerful. But yeah, it's recursion based. That's the theme. But then you flip through it and you give it a quick look, and your first thought is just white black good stuff, and you would not be too far away from getting an accurate assumption in that. So that's my Athreos God of Passage deck. First deck I ever built that was actually really good in EDH, and it did not have Athreos as the general. I built this deck back in 2011. Yeah, that sounds right. About 2011 with Ghost Council as the general, and it was kind of the same thing, except he was more of just a sack outlet. Athreos came along, and I like him a lot more. He brings stuff back. Ghost Council is sack outlet, which I should probably put a Ghost Council in here too as a sack outlet. I don't know, maybe couldn't hurt. But anyway, so there's my Athreos God of Passage EDH deck. For people who want to see the numbers again, here it is, and like I said earlier, combos not super important, and you saw it. There aren't really any real combos. I mean, this is the Kokusho, bring stuff back with a sack outlet, but yeah, the cost I think is really important here. That's just colored mana in costs of the casting costs, so that doesn't count abilities. And it leans a little heavier on white, but not a big deal. It's not to say that there are more white cards in the deck. I actually don't know. I might have wanted to write that down, but there are 21 sources of white mana and 22 sources of black, so that part's pretty balanced. This part, not so much, with the 9 more white than black symbols in casting costs. 30 creatures I think is fair for going and doing a recursion theme, because all these, they support it, obviously, but with the 30 creatures, you could probably drop that to 25, 20 if you like to live dangerously on the edge. Seeing as how it is recursion, it's not like if you had 20 creatures, you're limited to those 20. You'd be bringing them back quite a bit. But yeah, that's my Athreos God of Passage EDH deck. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you do one or both of those, are really truly appreciated. I love being able to make decks and share them with the world, and hopefully inspire others to build a deck like this. Maybe there's a card in here that you just didn't know about, that got overlooked. Like maybe you didn't know about Yosei, or Demonic Collusion is a card you don't see too often. I don't know if it's ignored on purpose or people just don't know about it because it only got printed one time, I believe. But if I can inspire anybody to go and try to build an Athreos God of Passage EDH deck, I love it. I love that. That's great. And if you do build one and this has inspired you to turn it into something like this, or just to build one, let me know in the comments down below. Really, truly appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time.